We're continuing. I apologize. We got disconnected at the end. We had no more battery. So we want to finish the introduction of the Mesilat Yesharim, which is the second class that we had. So we're saying that those who actually engage in study in order to fulfill what they have been commanded, in order to acquire knowledge, because knowledge is the source completion, and what God wishes for us are only a tiny minority. So we have only a few people who actually really engage in the study of Torah, and in order for the right purpose, to complete their soul, to become perfect. This is why most scholars have avoided the path of separateness, of precious. You're gonna see very few big Torah scholars who actually meditate and really have long prayers, and this separated temporary. We have to see what precious is. We're gonna see later in the book, but very few people have achieved do that. Very few of those scholars, since what moves them to intellectual activity is only the pleasantness in wisdom. When they do not find this in separateness, they are not moved to engage in it. So the big Torah scholar is more attracted to just learning and have a mental activity, but very few actually moved by just feeling and connecting with Hashem, which sounds like more just a Hasidic way of being religious. So, but the pietists truly discovered that since the exclusive end of all action should be what he wishes, what God wishes, it must be sought out with the utmost effort until found, and they allow their soul no rest until they find it. So, meaning that a real chassid is someone who is really going to, meaning a Jew on the highest level. Here, a chassid is a higher level than the chacham, according to Ramchal, and therefore, his goal is going to do everything your whole day and your whole life, like, how can I perfect myself? How can I become closer to God in every one of my action? How can I feel God more in my life? How can I live more with God's reality? So the Chassid says, so I am not surprised that these thoughts enter your heart only to live, because our material state in this world keeps us, by its nature, from perfection, even if your spirit is once moved to seek Him and come close to Him. That dark materiality still strives to get you as far back from Him as you were before, using all the tactics at the disposal of our universal enemy, Satan, the evil inclination, and the angel of death, namely the many cares and hindrances that come about every hour, every moment. So unless someone is truly focused, my life is about perfecting myself, working on character traits, and coming close to God and perfection of God, and really wants fights for that, the evil inclination is, and the materiality of this world, the darkness of this world, naturally is gonna prevent us from focusing on it and working at it, and we're just gonna be smart Jews, which God is not interested in smart Jews. Obviously, you need. You don't need to be a chassid, or you have to be smart, but you can just be smart without never ever becoming a chassid. So you can have a giant in Torah, and really never achieving perfection and being really close to God. So really that is because in order for the Torah to actually have an impact on you, you need to refine your character traits. The Ramchal in Derech Hashem says there's two conditions for the Torah to affect you. One is that you work constantly on your character traits, and number two is to have awe and reverence for your learning. Take your learning very seriously. So most people take their learning seriously, but how many actually really work on their character traits is very few. So for the light to really affect you, it's if you don't work out the traits, you're not gonna get. It's not gonna affect you enough. So So I have found, so he concludes almost, I have found that if a person does not fix a time of reckoning for his soul, during which he can inspect its concerns and scrutinize them with all the scrutiny that a great merchant uses with regard to his affairs, he will by no means be able to escape the snares of the Yetzer. He will fall unknowingly into a pit of destruction, for he will not see the evil coming upon him until he is already lost, God forbid. This is the important principle for both the wise and foolish alike. There is no difference between them. So, it doesn't matter if you're smart or foolish, at the end, if you don't make a specific time daily, or at least on a regular basis, to actually see, am I a better person? It's something we do usually on Rosh Hashanah, once a year, but that doesn't work. If you just do once a year, that's not going to work. You're supposed to do it on a regular basis and to improve. And it's going to teach us in the Mitzvah Shem how to improve, how to work on it, and what to study and what to do, how to go step by step. But the first step is really to make specific time to do that. So you have to take a book. You take the book Mitzvah Shem and you learn it your whole life. A few pages every week, or a few lines every day, and or at least once a week, like on a regular basis, and then apply it and improve. Otherwise, no hope. The Satan going to destroy you. You're not going to ever know it, and you're going to live your life, and you reach 80 years old, even if you have learned most of your life. 80 years old, and you come and you're very smart. You learn a lot of things, and you know a lot of things, but you're still the same old guy inside of you. You're still an angry person. You're still an arrogant person. You're still a stingy person or unhappy person. So the whole Torah that you learn served nothing, almost nothing. And all the commandments you did, they didn't help. They didn't really help and didn't really make you Olam Haba, because most of your Olam Haba, your reward in the world to come, comes from your refinement character traits. Because really the main purpose of the mitzvot, the commandments that we have, is to enhance our character traits and perfect them, as I'm gonna explain very soon. So the Chacham said, your words have truly been heard and have penetrated my heart to its very core. I beg you now to instruct me in your ways and show me your paths, that I may walk in them. So I see that you are superior to me, as light is superior to darkness. I apply to myself what the prophet said regarding anyone who opens his eyes and sees his blemish. Now that I have returned, I am regretful. Having understood, I strike my thigh. Now then, if I have found favor in your eyes, please show me your ways, the investigations that you have conducted, and the knowledge that you have discovered through all your studies, and it will be to your merit. So the Chacham realized, I did a mistake. It's very hard. You have to be humble. Yes, it's true. I've been learning so many years. I really didn't focus on the right thing, or I was in darkness. I didn't really work on my character traits. I didn't become a better person. So that's the realization. So we just finished the introduction, the first chapter, and I want to add a few things to embellish what we'd already said. That the Gaon of Vilna says, he says like that in Mishle. It says, hold on to Musar and do not let it go. Watch it, for it is your life. So he comments in his commentary on Mishle, Even Shlema, that when he says, for it's Musar is your life, for a person is alive in order to break a negative trait that he has not broken until now. Therefore, one should always strengthen oneself, for if he does not strengthen himself, why is he alive? He says all sins stems from unimproved character traits. So this is the purpose of your life. You know why you're created? To work on your character traits. You know why? Because that's what's going to give you the tremendous pleasure. You know why there's so many superheroes movies, everybody love them? Or why people love sport and millions of people follow sport? Because superhero movies of sports, brings you to transcend your who you are and who you are basically. And basically the whole purpose of character traits is to transcend who you are. So there's a feeling that what we really want or what really is exciting about life, and people follow those different things that reminds them of what can be accomplished by a man, but it's directed in purely physical stuff, or imaginary stuff, instead of focusing on their own life and becoming a superhero or becoming an athlete, but an athlete of the heart, of the duties of the heart and of thoughts. Again, the Rav Sadia Gaon, the Baal Shem Tov also say that man's creation in this world is to break his bad character traits. So one has to basically look what one's problems are and improve it. Now, I want to share two things with you, at least. First of all, we know Musar is part of Halacha. In the Shulchan Aruch or Chaim, and Mishnah Berurah says a person must set aside daily period devoted to Musar study. It's part of Halacha. You need to do it. You put on tefillin, you say a bracha, you need to study a bit of Musar, of Mesilas Yesharim. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Otherwise, you're not going to change. So I want to read you those two things because I think they're incredible. So the Chovot HaLevavot, which is beside the Mesilas Yesharim, it's like a Mesilas Yesharim, but in a much longer and much more detailed in some areas, and more complicated. So he says like that in his introduction also. So he speaks that people are not really taking seriously the work on character traits. It says, how much more in our generation? Most of the people do not take seriously the duties of the limbs, meaning the mitzvot, certainly not the duties of the heart. Those among the people who are drawn to Torah study aim only to be considered scholars by the common people and to be thought of as great men. So you have big Talmid Chacham, Torah scholars, and really they're thought as great men, but they only do, that's why they study, so that, I learned Torah, I'm going to be called a rabbi, people respect me. This is how we respected in the Jewish world, by learning a lot of Torah. You finish Shas, wow. Well, really, God doesn't care about it. He cares only if you use it to become a better person and you treat other people with love. They veer off the path of the Torah to study that which brings no excellence of character, does not correct personal faults, and ignorance of which brings no punishment, while neglecting the study of the fundamentals of the religion and the foundations of the Torah, which should not be ignored or forsaken. And without knowledge of these fundamentals and foundations, and without practicing them, one simply cannot fulfill the commandments. It's like incredible how he says it. You cannot do the commandments. If you don't don't work on character traits, it's like you're not doing the commandments. You cannot fulfill them. Because I was going to see, now this is my favorite piece from the Sha'arei Kedusha, which when I read it the first time, I was like, whoa, that's incredible. It changed my entire life, everything I knew. So Rabbi Chaim Vital says in Sha'arei Kedusha, chapter 1, second gate, and he says like that. You have to read it inside in Hebrew or whatever, but look what he says. This is translated straight in English to save time. The character traits are the essential preparations for keeping or transgressing the 613 commandments. It's a preparation. So you want to go fly, you need to prepare, otherwise you're going to crash. As simple as that. It turns out that one must be more careful about improper character traits than about keeping mitzvahs. You're very careful on the laws of Shabbat. You're very careful in the laws of tefillin, the laws of tzitzit. You're very careful on the laws of eating kosher, praying on time, whatever it is. Well, you know what? You have to be even more careful about getting angry, about feeling sad, about feeling jealous and desire to steal and desire for women and what. That's even more important than the character traits. Evil midos are much worse than averos themselves. Much, that's his saying, not me. Evil character traits are much worse than averos themselves. So meaning, when you get angry, it's worse than transgressing Shabbat. That's what he's saying. When you get you sad and you stay in your sadness and you don't try to get happy, this is worse than eating pork. If you speak lashon hara because you hate the guy or you're angry at the guy and or you're jealous, then it is worse than transgressing, not eating kosher or eating pig or whatever it is. We have to understand what that means. You understand how crazy that sounds? Meaning, like, if someone gets angry, you say, oh, wow, this is you lose your olam haba. It's like that's how we should react. And instead, we do that for someone who made a mistake on Shabbat. So he says like that. It is more important to be careful about evil character traits than the fulfillment of positive and negative mitzvot. Because by being a master of good mitzvot, it becomes easier to fulfill all of the mitzvot. I read it in Hebrew so you understand that this is not my words. Midot haraot kashim min ha'averot atzman meod meod. Ve'nimtza ki yoter tzarich lizaher mimidot haraot yoter min kiyum ha'mitzvot aseh ve'lo ta'aseh ki biyoto ba'al midot tovot benakel yekayem kol ha'mitzvot. That's what I just read in English. So you hear it in Hebrew that it's his words, not mine. So, and as our sages of blessed memory said in Sanhedrin, Daf 88, they sent word from here. Who is destined for the world to come? He who is meek, humble, and many other things similar to this. In all the verses above, the mitzvot of the Torah were not mentioned, but only the good character traits. Remember those words and you will undoubtedly succeed in achieving Ruach HaKodesh. Because when you work on character traits, you can be really close to God and be almost like a little prophet. I must conclude with one last piece, which is from the Rambam, and there's no greater than the Rambam. And there's so many other things that I could say, but the Rambam says in his introduction to the Mishnah, the main purpose of man's creation is two things. One, to have the loftiest idea a man can think of is the unity of a God and all theological concept that flows from this, and everything that helps you understand and become one with God, understand God. That's like number one. And the second thing is to chase after bodily, working on your character traits. Those are two things. The Rambam says two things you're created for: to work on your character traits and to have the greatest possible understanding a man can have about God, and the greatest closeness. Now, he says something scary. You have to listen to that. The Rambam. It's not like Rav Moshe Maimonides. He says, by wisdom, so he says like that. Two things, wisdom and deeds. Wisdom, I mean the ability to see the truth as it really is and to understand whatever man can understand. By deeds, I mean refining and curbing your innate tendencies, not to be swept along by sensual desires, but enjoying only those that will benefit your physical, mental, and spiritual health. A man who lives according to these notions is the ideal and accomplished man. That's what real man is. Now listen to that. If a man is supposedly wise and righteous, but runs after worldly delights, that man is not really a wise man. And right? You have learned a lot of Torah, and people say you're righteous, but you didn't fix your character traits. You're not really a wise man. On the other hand, if a man serves God, abstains from enjoyment except for that which he needs for his health, lives a life of moderation, has the best character traits, but does not possess wisdom, he is not perfect either. But he certainly is better than the first person we discussed. It's better to have good character traits than to end up just knowing a lot of Torah. Only his deeds don't have proper direction and are not performed truthfully. So it is better to die with great character traits than with a lot of Torah in one's mind. So the idea is to understand that there's nothing more important than your character traits. That's what you're created for, and you have to invest tremendous strength, because the first thing that happens when you try to learn character traits is the Satan start to attack you. He's going to do everything so that you give up on this precious work. I've experienced myself, and if you don't fight it and not give up and try to really work on that book, and the Messiah Shalem is really, I think, one of the best, you are not going to succeed. So you want to be a perfect man, you want to do what God really wants, you want to do what the Torah wants, what does God want, what God wants you to work on your character traits. And in order to do that, the only way is to study on a regular basis works of Mussar, like the Messiah Shalem. So if you are ready to do it, follow me. I'm going to continue to read this book till the end, and hopefully together we will be able to change our character traits and show God that we do what He desires the most, is for us to change, to become better human beings, so that every one of our mitzvot become a pleasure for God, not something distasteful, and our mitzvot become beautiful, made, they become like a jewel of that is made with love, and not just a jewel just to make money. So may we all be able to achieve that in our lifetime. Amen. Ken Yatson.